Fresh, simple, and iconic. Is this the ultimate rose? Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Matière Première Radical Rose. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances these days, especially with this one, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords, as I don't think that it helps the end user much. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. Yup, this was a blind buy. I bought this basically right after filming my 2 Rose series. This was a while back. It was about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And I immediately bought it because I had it on my radar. Multiple of you even just confirmed my purchase. And I've been wearing it since, basically. I usually take a little bit more time to formulate my idea and to review a scent. And although I wore this a ton, truly, because I really like it, I like to wear the scents in a little bit more variations of temperatures and maybe situations. I ended up giving this 4 to 5 full wears. It is summer, so I didn't really see how it performs in the cold, but I wore this at the office, I wore this at the gym. I tried to wear this really everywhere I could. In the 2 rose-centric first impression videos, I said that I was looking for another rose fragrance to match my current 2 favorites, which are Portrait of a Lady and Tom Ford Noir de Noir. And a lot of you suggested a ton of stuff. And between the ones I've reviewed, the one that stood out the most was actually MFK's Oud Satin Mood. Now, I had a backup plan, which was the Amouage Rose Incense, but ultimately I decided to just get another sample because I wanted to be extra sure to get that. In the meantime, I found a good price for Radical Rose. This is a fragrance that is relatively affordable comparatively to what it is and to the quality of this thing. I think I paid $115 for 50 ml, and that's pretty much designer pricing for really niche high-end perfumery. A little bit about the house. Matière Première is a relatively new house, actually pretty new. It debuted in 2019 with a number of fragrances. This one here I think is from 2020. I'm not sure if it was from the initial lineup or not, but their concept, as the name implies, Matière Première, so premium materials, it really revolves around showcasing one ingredient over the others. And in this case, Radical Rose, it's all about rose centifolia from Grasse, actually. And they have other perfumes that I was actually really interested in. So they have something like Parisian Musk, they have Falcon Leather, one of their most popular, I think it's Incense Suave. And although still not my favorite type of perfumery, I've grown more and more fond of fragrances that showcase one quality ingredient above everything else. And the cool thing about Radical Rose is that Matière Première owns their own rose garden, and they harvest it to make Radical Rose. So it is, in a way, a very exclusive high-end product just by manufacturing process alone. The house itself sort of reminds me of one of my favorite new houses that I discovered recently, which is Les Indémodables. And it really gives me rich family vibes that are into art. And I don't mean to be judgy or to mean any kind of offense. This is the best possible idea because it's people that are not necessarily commercially focused that want to make quality products first and foremost. And I can totally endorse that idea. Being a very new house, their approach to marketing, design, and everything is incredibly minimal. I like it. It's super clean looking, and it really screams in a way high-end, like subtle luxury. So back to my story about acquiring Radical Rose. I do a lot of research, as I state in my intro, and I watch a lot of reviews. Apparently, this one was one of the best rose fragrances on the market. And I blind bought the hell out of this, let me tell you. There was a kit, a discovery kit that I wanted to sample, but I just jumped on that offer there that I got. Honestly, despite this being an insanely good fragrance, I'm sort of 50-50 on the purchase, but I'll get to that in a sec. Before talking about the scent profile, as usual, let's talk about the presentation. As I mentioned, Matière Première is a very new house, very modern, and their presentation really reflects that. Their bottles are incredibly beautiful. I really dig the simplistic, minimalistic design. The bottle itself, the glass, is perfectly shaped, it feels high quality, it looks high quality, it looks really nicely finished. The labeling is exceptionally good. It's not lacquered, but it's this like a plastic sort of like soft touch finish, really well glued on. The cap is simple, minimalistic, beautiful. It is plastic, but it feels high quality and it's really snug. It has a tight fit and it's reassuring. The atomizer is, I think it looks great. The action is, I would say, average. It doesn't really blow my mind. It works well. Let's give it a couple sprays. Yeah, it works well. It's easy to aim. It throws a lot of liquid, but it's not one of those beautiful pressurized atomizers that someone like Macera has. Even the box these come in are very simple, very modern, but very high quality. They have this really sleek way to like uncover the fragrance. It just feels well engineered and well designed. I think that Matière Première really struck the Goldilocks zone with this presentation. It doesn't give off stupid expensive vibes that ultimately burden the consumer, but it really strikes the modern high quality thing without being completely overblown. Overall, I think that the presentation is very close to a 10 out of 10. That little piece of point that I'm taking off is maybe because the presentation comes across as a little bit clinical and not as imaginative. But let's talk about the scent profile for this thing, because this is absolutely gorgeous. As I stated in the beginning, Matière Première really focuses on one ingredient at a time with surrounding supporting notes. The ingredient here is obviously rose, and this fragrance is very rose forward. It's not a grating rose, it's not like Toy Boy. Arguably, I would think that Toy Boy is even more rose forward. But I would regard Toy Boy as a very artificial, piercing, and harsh rose. Well, this is a very smooth type of rose, and it's actually way darker and closer to something like Portrait of a Lady. More on that in a sec. To get this out of the way, these scents do not transition much. They're not very complex in narrative, they're not very complex in storytelling, and they're not very complex in just variation between the scents. These are very intentionally simple and elegant and to the point. So the opening is actually very close to the dry down. And what you get immediately is obviously this beautiful, absolutely beautiful rose. And I feel that this rose in my head hits that really dark red picture. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a very jammy or fruity rose, because this has a very dry type of feeling. The supporting notes for this, which are actually patchouli, vanilla, and labdanum, they really help intensify the presence for this and put the rose more in line of something like Portrait of a Lady. The rose rendition in this, I would say it's very unisex, maybe even leaning masculine. This is a really easy and not scary at all rose to wear for guys. If you're on the fence about rose fragrances, if you've tried a couple and not feeling yet, you should probably give something like this a try. So I described this rose as thick, dark, and dense, but actually the fragrance as a whole really sits in the mid regarding tonality and actual presence and density perceived. And there's nothing really to give it that top zing or that rumbly bass at the bottom. It's sort of just mid. And I'm not meaning mid by boring or one-dimensional, because that mid there has really a lot of layers to it. And the rose is really 3D and easy to pick apart. You can easily picture the petals, the stem, and all the components in there. It's really beautiful, really 3D, and really, really realistic. I keep saying that this fragrance really reminds me of Portrait of a Lady, and that is actually the problem that I have with this fragrance. It's not necessarily the same scent profile as Portrait of a Lady, because I do feel that Portrait of a Lady is a lot more complex and a lot more woody and dry. But to me at least, it serves sort of the same purpose. When I was talking about adding a new rose fragrances to my repertoire, I was talking about adding something that would complement my other two favorite rose fragrances, being Portrait of a Lady and Noir de Noir by Tom Ford. Not really beat that same path. So despite me liking this a ton, and it's absolutely beautiful, I'm not really sure if this really fits in my portfolio. In a way, I like Portrait of a Lady so much that I'm almost hoarding it and I don't spray it enough. So this could be a cheaper alternative that I can indulge in when I want my rose fix. On the other side, I really don't like redundancy, and this sort of just hits that same spot. And let me tell you, that's one hell of a compliment. Because if I'm actually comparing this to Portrait of a Lady, and if I'm even considering replacing Portrait of a Lady with this, I don't know what else I can say. Let's pause that thought for a little bit and let's go back to talking about the scent profile. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's simple, it's straightforward. We said that. The longevity and projection of this are average, I would say. They're inferior to Portrait of a Lady. I feel that as soon as you spray this, you get a lot of projection, you get a lot of scent bubble around you. You can definitely smell the thing for a while around you, but I would say that the longevity is like 6 hours-ish. You can wear it to work in the morning and it will sort of start to fade away after lunch. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It remains a skin scent and it's very elegant and delicate. But if you're looking for that beast mode rose fragrance with a ton of aroma chemicals and a ton of boosting compounds, this is not it. This is a very natural smelling rose. There's no ambroxan, or at least none that I detect, and no other fixative that is super obvious. Versatility wise, I think that this is very, very high, pretty much in all departments. It's so high that this could be like the perfect signature scent. I think it's very unisex. Anyone could wear this. I think age-wise, anyone could wear this. I don't really see very young adults or late teens wearing this just because it's a very simple, serious, and not wow-inducing fragrance. So if you like something like Versace Eros, if you like a Parfum de Marly, this one's definitely not for you. But anyone else, have at it. Use case scenario is also super high. You can wear this pretty much anywhere. You can dress it up, dress it down, go casual, formal, office, you name it. Everything goes. I wore this in the summer, obviously, it's summer. I do feel that with heat, this really radiates off the skin and it really has a punch to it. I can't speak about winter temperatures, but in climatized environments, this works absolutely fine also. Value-wise, I think it's excellent. If you can get it at a discounted price, even better. For $120 to $130 to even $140 for a 50 ml, it's almost unbeatable value. This is so high quality, it smells so high quality, it smells niche, it smells exclusive, it smells well made, and it smells French. Take that as you may, but this is objectively exceptional perfumery. And just touching upon that Portrait of a Lady comparison again, the value for this is just so much better than Portrait of a Lady. And yes, Frédéric Malle is a known expensive brand, but Portrait of a Lady, at least around me, is almost impossible to find at discounters, and you always have to pay retail price. So this wins hands down. Overall, despite my initial statement about the purchase and despite my conundrum on which one to keep, I'm really happy I got this. If you want a high quality rose fragrance, if you want arguably the ultimate rose fragrance, I can highly recommend it. This is absolutely beautiful. I'll definitely be checking out more of Matière Première. I like their line, I like their concept, I like the house. I just like everything about them. This to me is modern perfumery. You could say that something like Ganymede represents modern perfumery, and it's what is to come because it is so futuristic and avant-garde. But you know what? Matière Première really combines the traditionalism of perfumery with modern technologies and approaches. I think it's really great and I'm excited for the future. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to videos, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and it helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave any comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation going. Thanks again for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Until the next review, many more to come. I'm really digging this. See ya and cheers.